That's a conservative number. The entire GDP is $14 trillion a year. The average American already owes over $200,000 for the bailout and government expenditures and commitments, and that's a conservative number as well. President Obama took on House GOP leader John Boehner's call for repealing the financial reform bill before it's signed yesterday. But Boehner's call was backed by the GMA and Richard Shelby, the ranking Republican on the Senate Banking Committee. We would like to repeal it. We have empowered a lot of regulatory bodies that failed us before, and the question is, what have we learned? He said, it's not going to create jobs, which we desperately need. It's going to cut jobs. It's going to hurt the economy. Yes, in there, every debit card transaction, every sale you make, everything you do. I mean, what was in the last stimulus package? Oh, $50-something billion to pay GM to move to Brazil, Eastern Europe, and China. Billions of the money. I mean, that's mainstream headlines. GM bailout money used to move plant to Brazil. Search that headline. Here's just one of the things that was in the stimulus, and this new one is just riddled with this stuff as well. Obesity rating for every American must be included in stimulus mandated electronic health records, says Health and Human Services, Cyber News Service. Tracking how much you weigh. They're already doing that through the schools to then tax you if you're overweight. They admit they're now going to do that and say what you can put in a child's Happy Meal. Oh, it's okay for McDonald's to put silicone in the food. That's CNN, a petrochemical, extremely poisonous, illegal in England and other countries, but you can't put a toy in there. See, it's all about control. Congress acts, but bank bill has work ahead, is what AP says. Oh, yes, don't expect things to get better now that they've done this. No, it's going to get worse. China reduces U.S. Treasury debt holdings in the month of May. We always find out a few months later what they've done. China reduced its holdings in U.S. Treasury debt in May as a total foreign holdings of government debt posted a slight increase. And they've openly announced that they're downgrading U.S. Treasury bonds, debt that they're buying from the bankers, and that they're moving to the SDRs. See, now that we've had globalism and deindustrialization, we still have the dollars. We could buy all the precious Chinese slave goods made by people living in lockdown concentration camps. That was in the AP yesterday, like it was no big deal. Yes, everybody's locked up at night in these worker neighborhoods and not allowed to come out. And but you know, if they come out, they're sent to a re-education center. But that's how you have law and order. That's right out of The Running Man, where they're running around through the city, and you see the big billboard telescreen saying anyone caught out after dark will be permanently detained. Dollar extends losses on U.S. economy concerns. This is out of the French news agency. The dollar fell further Friday, touching the lowest level so far for the year against the yen, as weak U.S. data fueled concerns about the world's biggest economy, analysts said. They're now announcing that we're going to implode. Now, we know the globals were engineering an implosion. And people are now saying, wow, the media is being honest. Yes, but they're telling you the solution is more power for these people, and they're now announcing it to run the market down themselves. Here's another great article by the Economic Collapse up on PrisonPlanet.com. Will thousands of police layoffs unleash chaos and anarchy across America? Gee, in Ohio, in California, in Michigan, in Florida, in New York, and Illinois, I'm seeing the reports. The government coming out and saying we won't respond to normal crime, robberies, people being poisoned by design, people sabotaging power poles, robbing cars. We're not going to respond to identity theft, embezzlement, extortion. Gee, what do you think criminals are going to do? Here's a CNBC report. Consumer sentiment sinks to lowest level in 11 months. Here's another one from Before It's News. Upcoming false flag. Put options placed on energy companies. Just as 3 days before 9/11, there was an unusual amount of trading going on with American Airlines. We are seeing the same type of action this time with power companies. This is Obama supporters saying active terrorism is the only thing that will save them. And then the Market Watch report, which is a division of News Corp, says unusual volume of put contracts was traded today. There were 713 put contracts versus the 10-day average of 55. On the call side, 27 call contracts were traded. Today's trade put call ratio at 26.41. There were 26.41 puts traded for each call contract on power companies. So we'll continue to watch that. So that is just some of the economic news. There's another report from the Dollar Vigilante that says how and why the world financial system has to collapse. Well, it has to collapse because it's designed to collapse. They've created thousands of times more counterfeit derivatives and financial fraud instruments than there is real assets in the world. Even if you inflated assets thousands of times in their value artificially, it wouldn't meet the derivatives. This is a financial weapon. This is a black hole. It's designed to render you down to a bankrupt serf. And Webster Tarpley has an excellent report on this up at Infowars.com. Obama Dodd-Frank are now protecting the derivatives curb out until 2022, and that's in the financial reform bill. And see, they've changed semantics to where the average person thinks when they hear the term overhaul or reform that it means it's something good. But if Titus in 70 AD sacked Jerusalem and overturned every structure and didn't leave one stone standing on another, not one brick sitting on another, just as Christ pointed to the Pharisees and said, within your lifetime, not a single one of these stones will be standing on top of another, and that temple will be destroyed. The point is, that, I mean, should Titus have called the destruction of Jerusalem an overhaul? A reform? And I've said it before, if you run out into I-35 traffic at, say, high noon when traffic's flowing at 80 miles an hour, and you see an 18-wheeler coming down the road, and it's 30 yards away, and you jump out in front of the 18-wheeler, and at 80 miles an hour it hits you, there's almost a 100% chance you're going to die. And your body is going to be smashed and run over and look like sloppy joes for 100 yards down the road as it drags your body. Your body is going to be in parts. Your guts are going to be smeared all over the road. Now, that is a reform. If I take a sculpture of clay, a beautiful sculpture of, say, a falcon, and I take a rubber mallet hammer to it and bash it into a flat pancake, that is a reform. If you take your arm and stick it in a blender, an industrial blender on high, and chop it off to your wrist and hold your arm up with red blood gouting and founting and spraying out, that is a reform. Your hand has been reformed. It is in the blender, in pieces. When I took that iPad to illustrate that people only care about machines and not fellow humans because we've been dehumanized and desensitized, and I took a power drill to it and then a hammer, I reformed it. So, yes, they're reforming the international system. They're reforming the dollar. They're reforming the family. They're reforming our trade and our industry and our society. And, yes, green jobs and carbon taxes in its own statements from the UN, Club of Rome, Council on Foreign Relations, Royal Commission, all state, it is designed to bring you down to the level of bankrupt slaves. 110%. These people want to wreck things. They want to make you dependent. They want to conquer you. Your genetic code is being reformed by all the poisons and toxins. Just search the term gene damage or human DNA damage growing exponentially because they can study the births in real time. And these Western nations, everywhere where you eat GMO food, everywhere where you eat food with all these preservatives. They aren't just bad for you. What does bad for you mean? It means deadly. It means harmful. You know what mercury does to your DNA? Rob Dew brought me a mainstream news article today. I mean, I knew that Washington Post reported years ago that half of soft drinks have high levels of mercury in them. I knew that most of the crops we eat are full of mercury. But he brought one in about how children's fruit bowls, those pre-prepared fruit bowls and fruit juices, are filled with levels of mercury that are off the charts. I mean, you might as well go eat swordfish every day. It'd be better for you. There's mercury, there's lead, it's in the crops, it's in the food, it's in everything.